All right, everyone. Good morning, good morning. So small gap up overnight. Those in the room will know what we're looking for. This bull flag over the sort of overnight highs, which is starting to play out. Unfortunately, I missed it probably by a minute or two once I got back to my desk, walking the dog. This is how it's going to be today. So the players today were basically, if we can base over this is thin structure, we can reprice into here. Into here, I expect some supply to come back in and maybe a retest of this level. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. If we can base over, this is fun. Already a bad start to the day. Okay, if we can't base over, if this is just going to be a sweep, then you're looking for some sort of short pattern for a retest back down here. Remember, ES has lows it can still go for. Tech, not too bad today. Tech is going okay other than Apple. Apple sluggish off that report yesterday, which is why ES has relative strength, as does YM and the Dow. We are coming up to, what is this level I have marked out? Okay, we're coming up to the old pivot high, so I'd say 20,200 key. That's where stops are from sort of 10 o'clock yesterday. Get through that, we might pop those, can run all the way up. Another 50 to 100 points would be the next level. Okay, so you can see that on a 5-minute chart, easier to see. So these stops are sat right here, 20,200. And then into the bottom of this base, 20,085. And if it really wants to get all the way up here, it can. I'm going to actually do this as supply because this is a drop-based drop kind of level. Let's make this red. Okay, so these are the levels I'm looking at. I would have liked to have already been in this long this morning for this move up. Probably long off 27, somewhere around there, 27, 30, 40s. For this move up, but hey ho, back to normal next week when my wife gets back, and it's going to get a whole lot easier. Okay, so currently in a bullish play here off the pivot. Swept that low again. This is the key level from yesterday. Remember, it's the weekly low. Came back in above it, held. Bull flag here, looking for a reprice higher. We do have news coming out in 2 minutes time. All right, and that's the last bit of news for the day. Those that didn't look, that jobs report for NFP was absolutely terrible. It was shocking, a shocking miss. They're blaming it on the hurricane. Biden's come out saying, you know, everything's fine in the economy, jobs numbers are good. Mate, you haven't been in office for 2 or 3 months now. Just fuck off and stop talking. No one's listening to you. Leave the economy to people who know what they're talking about. You've already insulted half the country. It'd be good if you just shut your mouth now. Absolutely unbelievable. You've got like 4 days left. Just be quiet. Just humbly go back to your beach and go to sleep. It infuriates me, the amount of spouting lies coming out. So let's just see what we get here. But we're very thin above this level. If you look at this H1, this is so thin in here, guys. This structure right here, very, very thin. You can see the difference in the volume. So if we can base above here today, it's got a chance to reprice into these levels. We are short, or we are in a sell signal higher time frame. All right, we're in a sell signal higher time frame. But remember, the market moves in waves. So we're expecting some form of pullback, maybe 50% golden zone for a continuation. We can do anchored VWAPs. I actually have them on my Ninja chart. They're placing at 276 and 340 currently. So maybe the market will want to trade back up to where those sellers are. That same seller is on the book, 100 lots at 85, 90, 05, 010, 015, 020, 2025, all right? 100 lots stacked all the way up. Same guy from yesterday, same seller on the book stacking 100 lots. So either he is looking to sell inventory into the weekend, or he's been a buyer overnight and he's just looking to get out. So we don't know if he's a short seller selling his inventory as in looking to get short into the weekend, or if actually he's been a buyer and he's just looking to reduce position. So here is the news candle. We're going to mark this off once we get it. Very, very whippy here. I'm going to check what this print was. Logan's still talking. I can't actually see this print yet on Financial Juice, waiting for it to come through. PMI was slightly hotter. All right, morning, Jeff, Array, John, Chris, Tyson, Sloth. Hope you're all doing good. All right, so a bit whippy here at the highs, into and around that level that we talked about. That same level, have we taken it out yet? Let's just draw this on the chart so we have it. Bear with me 1 second. It's right here. Can we extend this? There we go. That is a horrible line, isn't it? Let's do a horizontal. And let's just see what we get here. All longs are counter trend today, so all longs are basically an H1 rebalance. We do expect some sells to come in the market unless too many shorts get trapped. Here we go. Constructors spending month over month 1%. Forecast was 0 or 0.1%. ISM slightly hotter. Not far off, I wouldn't say. So choppy action. Good morning, Mindful Matters. Morning, everyone in chat. So we're trading back up towards anchored VWAPs. We can put these on. Let's put these on from up here. So really, what was the open? About here, 9:30 open. We've traded through that. Next pivot. Probably up here. Is that the pivot high from overnight? Yeah. So this is where sellers are. Higher time frame sellers who sold yesterday and the night before. This is their average price right now. But basically the higher time frame algo back test. Have to be cautious here if you've been looking for longs. Just know your longs are counter trend on higher time frame, a bit like we talked about yesterday. Counter trend, higher time frame. We do have a gap beneath and we have a very large gap above. Right, so on the ETFs, your SPY gap would take you up to the start of it would be 575.64. I'm on the SPY, yeah, up to pretty much 580. And on the Qs, your gap would take you up to the 20-day and 50 and 5-day, which would be 492.40 up to 496.30. So those are the cash gaps above. We also have a cash gap below, so we're balanced in range between those cash gaps. We are in a sell signal. Higher time frame, we are in a sell signal. So you need to see if and when sellers come in, and they're starting to come in here. So these levels down here, this is an old breakout level here, is going to come a level of interest, I would say, in here. All right, if it fails to hold this level, then it might search back for lows. So far, the longs are played. Scout mentality today, if you're long side, all right, scout mentality here, scout mentality, because counter trend. If it gets to here, I'd start being risk off because it might then want to rotate. If it gets through 200, 250, 300 are sort of levels, but we will check into those later. But more accurately, it's more like 285 if you want to mark that out, and I don't see it getting up there, 417, and then the anchored VWAPs like we talked about. But yeah, just to repeat, we are in a sell. Higher time frame is in a sell. The question is, how far up can it rebalance? Can it get above value area high and rebalance up here? Think about a fib from this pivot high to low. Haven't even got to 50%, definitely nowhere near golden pocket. Freaky Friday as well. Remember, it's Friday. Lots of things expiring today. Will shorts want to hold over the weekend? That's the big question. And on top of that, first day of the new month, so new monthly bar today. 25 minutes until the initial balance, currently printing 130 point range. So this grey area here is going to become key. Are they going to sweep underneath this wick right here, or is this game over for bulls? And we go for rotation. Very tricky. ES with relative strength this morning, like we talked about. Apple holding the market down. You now have Google and Meta have gone green to red on the day as well. So Amazon had great earnings last night, up 12 points on the day, almost 6%, hovering around that 198 mark. Apple is starting to get going here because that big breakthrough 223 was key. So 225 will be the next area for it to trade up to. I want to see if sales come in at that area, an old key level. But yeah, mixed bag here on the Mag 7, also on treasuries, right? The shorter yields, 5, 10 years, etc., are red, 10 and 30 years green on the day. We're just balancing between internal levels here. Can we hold above London range, basically, is the question we are currently asking. Can we hold above that London range, this grey box, for a move back upside? And then the question is, if it does, how far up are we going to go? What liquidity can it search for? But like I said, on the book, there are big sellers at 87, sort of I would say 210, 212, 215, 220, 225, 230, 235. 100 lots all the way up, trying to drag the market up would be my guess. Question is, do they get filled? Yesterday, it was the same seller or sellers, and they didn't get filled. ES looking for a new high day here. Got a financial juice. That is late for a push notification. Really late. 7 minutes that took to push into our Discord. Don't know what's going on with them right now. Yes, fresh high day here. VIX at the lows, underneath an old pivot. To work out where VIX can come back to now. VIX might want to trade down towards 21.25-ish. Underneath that, it has a gap. Gap would be all the way back down to 20.50. So I have my eyes on that on the VIX. Nice push here on the market. ES coming to test its higher time frame algo here, so it's back testing that level that we talked about on the NQ. Nowhere near getting to 260 yet. So you can see the relative strength on the market. What is going on in the background? Has that fixed it? Okay. So at 200 level and around there, holding up a supply right now. Always tricky. I always feel like it's tricky when we're in a sell signal, but you know the market needs to move higher to give you a good price to get short. It's always a little bit tricky, especially on a Friday. Don't want to end your week with a bad day. Fresh low day on the VIX. So coming back into that area of demand into 2140. That's where it broke out from on Thursday. So yesterday, the 930 print. So 2130 down to 21, let's just call it 10. That becomes the key level. If it lets go of that, so straight move straight back down to 2046. That would give upside pressure on the SPY and on NQ if tech can get going. Right now, like we talked about, tech is a mixed bag. Google still gone green to red on the day, as has Meta Apple still red on the day, but fast approaching that 225 that we talked about, that key level. So do they come back in and sell Apple at 225? That's the question. Did any of you get long this morning or long overnight for some of this sort of mean reversion move back up? Remember, we are basing on that lower Bollinger Band. Like we talked about, the market will never ever want to extend past the lower Bollinger Band. We talked about it over and over again on this stream. It does not like to trade beneath this. Does not like to do that. I said 2 standard deviation trade. The market doesn't like to do that. 3 standard deviation in normal circumstances is considered very extreme, even with penny stocks. Nice array, good work. So back in the day, you could almost always short a 3 standard deviation move on a penny stock or on any stock. Nowadays, not so much with the 0 expiries, ODTs. Have to be prepared for those runners to go absolutely bonkers on the pennies. But up until 2019, 3 standard deviation was the max runner you would get on those. So breakout here, higher day. Trading into and around 200. Remember, lots of sellers above, and I'm talking about lots of sellers. 700 contracts all the way up to 2037. That's where they're going to drag it up to, at least to there, and then we'll see if they re-add. I would have liked to have been long in here with you on those dips today. It's a key level here. Remember, this is the liquidity we marked out. Right here, this is where all the short stops are into 200. So expect it to take it. There you go, taking it out right now. And I'll remove that now. So now we have room to trade back upside even more. Repricing some of yesterday's move. So I would say it has lots of space up towards 85, 285, somewhere around that. If it wants to trade through that, it can keep going. Like we talked about on the hourly chart, you can see we are into thin structure now. Above here, right, this is thin. Into these levels, this is where we know sellers are, this point right here. So will they be waiting to re-attack the market up there? That's the big question. But momentum for the New York session so far, very bullish. Even though news has been pretty bearish, momentum is bullish. Apple now through that 225 that we talked about, all right, on a giant squeeze up right now. So resilience in the market. Maybe ES and the SPY will want to trade back towards its 5-day. We'll have to see. Make sure that's not cutting any of this off for you. Oh, yeah, that's good. So you might get a short squeeze here if all those shorts got stuck under 200. That's the thing. And it has room. Even ES has lots of room to reprice up. Like we said, we are thin up here, very thin up here. Just see if and when bulls start to take profits. They might not. Apple back under that 225. So they popped it over and started selling it. So have to be cautious here if the sellers come back in. Remember, higher time frame is a short. It's a sensitive area between sellers and buyers right now. Higher time frame sellers, lower time frame buyers. Who's going to take control here? Can the buyers initiate a squeeze for a bigger move up? Which it looks like they're doing. Every bull flag holding now. It's going to be very hard to be involved in this now. Hey. The big question I was saying to the chat, do shorts want to hold over the weekend? Probably not. Probably not. Apple's selling now fairly aggressively. Do they take out this pivot and start to dunk back down here? Big question here on the market. Yeah, still looking pretty strong here through higher time frame algo now. Still have that gap above, remember, the big gap that we did on the gap down, that it might want to try and reprice. That would be a huge move, but I've seen weirder things on NFP. Yeah, exactly, just blasted through it. But you do have that new day opening gap that we had from that gap down. VIX into that key level that we talked about. If VIX breaks underneath, should we check this, 2110s basically, it has a gap fill down to 2046. That will show massive weakness on VIX, and ES should start really flying into that volume gap. So repricing up towards these, remember these above are anchored view ups, high time frame algo. These levels up here, we are in thin action here. Squeeze is definitely set so far. Morning, Marek. Morning, James. Not in anything yet, James. Unfortunately, I was saying to the team I wanted to get long. This was all drawn out before the open. I wanted to get long for this move, but again, a bit like yesterday, had to walk the dog, got back, had to make a coffee, sat down, and opportunity was kind of gone without me. But we had nice liquidity built here. Even this was nice. Probably should have taken this right here at even. But now just waiting. My dog would never get on a treadmill, honestly. It's hard enough to get her to walk half the time. Typical of like a pit bull, can be very stubborn. He's super stubborn. Do we see some selling here? Volume still pretty low on the selling, so it just feels like a pullback for now until something changes. Yeah, I used to have an English bulldog as well. They're even worse. They just dig their claws in and sit down, and they weigh a ton. So belligerent. So belligerent. But the best dogs. So VIX at lower day, ES near high day, pulling back a tiny bit, nothing major yet. Volume still low on these sells, right? No major trend break, no major pullback, no major selling coming into the market. All those guys got filled though. All those sells got filled. So you have to wonder, were they buyers just trimming positions here? There's not much on the tape above, I must say. So unless I see someone come back on the tape, very thin here. So maybe no one really wants to participate here. Like we talked about in the H1, it has room to reprice upside. Kind of gutted I'm not long in this. But it's too late now, too late to get long now. Don't want to be getting long extended from the flow zones and near these anchored VWAPs and stuff, but I would not be surprised if it just shoots up, and so be it. Meta back green. Google still red. Apple still red. Apple now under that 225 we talked about. So high time frame algo tap here. Anchored VWAP just above. Supply just above, up towards 300. Look at that tap right on that high time frame algo. They trimmed position there. For sure they started trimming there. Look at the difference in the sell volume now. This is genuine selling now, as opposed to before where we were on pullback. This is a bigger sell candle. So they trimmed some into high time frame algo. No shift yet, but that's definitely a little bit telling there. Remember, higher time frame is in a sell. This is all about how far can it reprice higher before sellers come in. Just basing out here. So they soaked after that sell. Impressive strength, really impressive strength on the market. always hard with days like these when you know it wants to trade higher and you don't get the opportunity. It's the problem when you've got a dog to walk all the time, can't be focused enough. And then you have to wait. And it might be that the short doesn't come in today. It might be that the short is next week, or it might be it never comes in if they really, really turn the squeeze on. You just don't know. So Apple, the only one sluggish now. Everything else looking very strong. Maybe a back test here on ES of 800, 5,800. Very, very close now. Weirdest book I've ever looked at today on NQ. If you look at all those orders, that's nuts. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, so far everything just soaking. No sellers. We had that one good sell on the higher time frame algo, and it got soaked again, and now it's drifting higher off low volume. So that says to me shorts are a bit trapped. When we're doing drifts higher on low volume, shorts are normally a little bit trapped. Morning, Matt. No, capped. I'm not going to give that away. I'm really sorry. That is from years of back testing in Edge. That's the one thing I'm not going to do. Nice, Tyson. Nice. Glad you're green. Do they pop this through to that anchored VWAP? Yes, very close to that 800 mark. It got $1 away, a point away. Shorts definitely stuck in this. You can just feel how stuck they are in the tape here, because it's just low volume grind up. So it probably needs to pop a load of people out the way, and then once it's exhausted, it might turn. It might not. If they've caught enough, it might not turn today at all. It might just be a monster, which would make me laugh off of bad jobs numbers and stuff, you know. Trap them all, rinse it up, and then Monday, Tuesday, sell it back down again. So into anchored VWAP now, anchored VWAP 1. There is an anchored VWAP above, and we have that old London range and New York, well, pre-market New York from yesterday pop. So in between, I'd say 85s all the way up to 415. It's a big, big area. It's a big, big area. Yes, right through 800 now. Clean through it. What a squeeze. I'm gutted I am not in this. Devastated. Devastated. What are you going to do? So we're trading, just check on this, SPY. Yeah, SPY is right on that old gap. All right, SPY is right into the old gap, or tapping on the door of the old gap, let's say. I think it was really close there on the SPY, so it really came close to that old gap. Little sell away from it now. Let's see if they soak it again, or is this going to be it on the market? Nice bounce on the VIX at that key level that we talked about. So it got very close to that 13 level, bounced off 16s. Oh, capped the concept. It's just from back testing where institutions like to buy and sell, basically, just from years on back testing. That's where they like to sell. So do we come back down under 40 here? So the lower time frame stops off 40. Remember, you got trend line liquidity like we always talk about. Trend line liquidity. Did leave equal highs though. It's a little bit worrying. Might still want to trade higher on the Qs. Apple well underneath that 25, now trading at 23s. All right, so Apple the weakest of the bunch, which is why NQ will be weaker. Can they bull flag again here? So you see how important those anchored VWAPs are. On days like this, they become nice magnets, as does the high time frame algo. Now remember, we are at initial balance high. Okay, so IB high now printed 213.5 range. VWAP way down here. IB low way down here. So if we're going to have a failed auction of the high or rotation, it's got a long way it can go back down. Big ifs, but it has a long way it can go back down. Hopefully my electricity stays on today. They were doing testing in my building yesterday and I must have had about 3 or 4 power cuts. Morning, Foster Scott. So the question is, do we get breaker structure now? Does it make a lower low, lower high? Is this the lower high being set on the hourly chart? Is it the lower high being set on the hourly chart? A lot of push and pull here. VIX looking pretty good here for an upside move. So back to flow zones. If we're in a rotational day, like I said, higher time frame is in a sell. And this was a big squeeze out today. Is it just a squeeze out for shorts to get involved? Remember, if you have a look at the SPY, have a look at that old gap we talked about. It really came and tapped on the underside of that new day opening gap, that gap between Wednesday, Thursday on that sell. And we found sellers there. We found sellers at the high time frame algo, at the anchored VWAP and at IB high. So have to be cautious here. It's not a trend day higher. Lots of people will be buying and buying and buying this at the highs. They might get stuck. Same as the guys that were shorting and shorting and shorting at the lows. They might get stuck. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. It can absolutely go higher. When we talk about the H1, it has room. We keep saying room up to 85. 85 would be wick to wick for that drop base drop. So I'm looking at the hourly wick from 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. that is, on Thursday, and it could trade all the way up to 420. That's a very big range. The question is basically, is this the hourly pullback level? If we zoom out and we think about waves, is this the wave? If we go from here to the low, right in the golden pocket, surprise, surprise. Yeah. Cannot buy highs today. It's why I said I really wanted that long this morning. I'm really quite pissed off. If we look at what I talked to the chat about, my ideal plan this morning would have been long above this grey box to trade up into the area we're in now and then a short reversal back down. All right, made it really simple right here. This blue line, push, pull back, hold, trade back up to supply. All right, those were basically the three options I was looking at for, and the ideal thing that I wanted was both sides. Push back up, get long for that move, get short up here, rotation down. So we've had move one. Camera blurred again, sorry guys. Aaron, you're really good at noticing that. Is that better? There we go. So do they shift here? Do a deeper retrace? Quite possible. It is quite possible that they do that now. The importance of understanding higher time frames, eh? We knew you can't be selling down at the lower Bollinger and you can't be buying up high when the H1 is simply doing a retracement. Here we go. The sell has started. The sell has well and truly started. So What I want to see really is more than a 2-leg here. Come on, come on, come on, come on, so close, come on. There we go. All right, so I did take a sell there in that move, just for a scalp from 42s down to 20s. What I want to see is more than a 2-leg here. All right, I want to see more than basically this. I want to see something up here where they get retrapped and then do this big move. But if it's just a reprice, there's a good chance it lets go just as quick. Remember, the news this morning was not good. It was terrible news. That's what got caught shorts off guard, because they started, let me explain this. The news came out 8:30, right here. This was a bad print. This was saying that jobs numbers were terrible. So shorts started forcing themselves on the market. But if you zoom out, is that a good location? We always talk about momentum versus location. Yesterday, this short location is good, 20-day, 5-day, and the momentum is good. Is this short location good? No. Is the momentum good? No, neither are good. So they forced their opinion on the market because the newsprint was bad, and guess what? They got fucked. Here's the stop run, push, pull. This is where we were looking long in Discord, trade back upside. So all these guys got short, got stuck. Now the smart money gets short because this is a good location to short, and now we might get momentum back down. All right, so always in the market, location, momentum are basically your key things you're looking for. You need good location and you need to be on the right side of momentum. If this is the top of the V, you are now in a sell side, and what can we expect of IB rotation? V up, IB low. Respect this area, right, because this is where they got trapped, so you might get a bounce here before going lower. But so far, working out pretty nice there. We should have held runners, but I actually wanted to see this push higher again first. So back down towards the deep pullback. Just going to let go of the whole thing. Alex! He knew it was a squeeze. He knew it would come fucking elevator down. He should have just held it. Oh, I can't look. It's so painful. I can't look. Ay caramba. But does that thesis make sense to everyone who's watching? Do you understand now? Do you understand the long location? Here was really nice. All right, this is where they're stuck. You're always looking for one side to be stuck. Here was every single reason to sell. Let's look at the hourly. The hourly, what's it done? It's repriced into this. Everything we talked about. Above grey, short stuck, squeeze back up. This is a good location, isn't it? That's a location I want to short. We go from this pivot down to here, golden pocket, 61, and supply, and an anchored VWAP, and a higher time frame algorithm. Wait for the shift to come, slam the short in, ride it back down. Simples. And look at that, bounce off for now the deep pullback. All right, bouncing off deep pullback flow zones because they are fibs. All right, these are all based on Fibonacci. It's rolling Fibonacci sequences. That's what the flow zones are based on. I definitely lack patience right now in my trading. It is palpable how much I lack. I think it's literally from rushing back to the charts with my dog and then not feeling settled. And then even when I'm explaining it to you and I know what needs to happen on the chart, it's like I'm missing that 5-10% edge that I'd have from watching all the session. So I got up early this morning, told the team what we were looking for, put my anchored VWAPs on, and then took the dog out. And that 20-30 minutes probably, I wouldn't say it puts me on tilt, but that anxiousness to get back to see it all probably just creates a little bit of edge in my body. Yeah, Aaron, can you imagine walking around my neighbour? To be fair, my neighbourhood's probably got some goons that would do that. Sloth, for the Forex sessions, do you mean for the overnight sessions? Are you talking about London, Asia, stuff like that? Just let me know, Slots, because I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right thing. We are in a straight sell now. Guys, no longs now, please. No longs now. Shorts only. All right, and just be careful into these levels. You might get buyers show back up on the tape there. Okay, yeah, Sloth. So the one I am currently using, to make sure I get the right one. ICT, kill zones and pivots by TFO, but there's tons out there. There's tons. Like, just search Asia, London range, or kill zones, anything like that. Look at the sells. Look, the buyers got absolutely smoked at that top, not understanding. What is the pro trend today, guys? What is the pro trend? Pro trend is in a sell. We're in a sell, right? Daily's in a sell. H4's in a sell. H1's in a sell. So once we get lower time frame shift to a sell, this is what happens. Easy peasy. This is easy money right here. Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. We are going to sell to VWAP. If we get beneath VWAP into these algorithms, then this weekly low. If we start getting stuck under this weekly low, previous day close, and then remember, ES has some levels underneath that we talked about yesterday, some low hanging fruit levels. It can go and attack. All right, but the key today, even if you're not using the flow zones, even if you're using your own thing, please just anchored VWAPs, yeah? Anchored VWAPs off the pivots. Let's clean everything else up for you. Look at this anchored VWAP off yesterday's pivot. All right, these are off the 930s yesterday and the Asia high yesterday. This is where we know sellers are participating. So just wait. If you're going to be a short seller, just wait for it to come and be at a level where we know institutions are shorting. You don't need to be shorting down here. This is a mugs game. This is the short. So even if you don't use my system, please just use the anchored VWAPs. There's a free video on YouTube that I did all about anchored VWAPs. It will help you. I promise you it will help you loads. Oh, I'm on the wrong chart. There we go. Killing you again. Killing you again. All right, so even if you don't use my system, use the anchored VWAPs. This was pivoted off yesterday, off the 930. You can get it on Ninja if you're running Ninja. Guys in the room, this is the anchor VWAP I gave you this morning. Look how accurate that was. Amazing. Pivoted from the print yesterday, from the sell yesterday. Teach everything in the course if you want to do the course, but if you're just interested in anchor VWAPs, there is a lesson for free on YouTube. It's part of the course. I did it for free on YouTube. It's worth watching. It is worth watching. Oh, the pain knowing that I could have taken, where was I short from? 43s. I could have had a 90-point winner there if I just let the trade work. So covers into these areas. It might want to sweep and reprice into here. This is the key level now intraday. I'd say 250. 250 intraday. If it can price back up here, I want to see a sell pattern and sell back down. I won't want to sell the lows and I don't want to buy the highs. So I want to see a sell pattern back here to give me a reason to get short to rotate back lower. What you're basically going to have today is a battle between lower time frame traders getting stuck and when and where higher time frame traders want to participate. That's all you're going to have today. Straight selling. So flow zones remain in a sell. Watch your ATR today, guys. All right, at times per 1 minute, it's been 50 points. So just watch your sizing when you're playing today. VIX really running now. So again, those who use my VIX strategy, it was really simple. Look at the VIX, this one on the right. Where did we base off yesterday? Repriced to there, buyers came back in the VIX. This is what gave weakness in the market. So you could time everything together. So at this point, we were trading into the anchor view up and high time frame algorithm. VIX bounces, we know it's a good area to short. You start looking for sell signals. Good confluence. The way I see it is the more confluence you have, the more confidence you get. Yeah, if VIX is working in tandem with you, if the anchored view ups are working in tandem with you, if the flow zones are working in tandem with you, it's way easier to take a trade. And the other thing was the SPY gap. We can do it, let's do it on here. Put you on high time frame. On the SPY, bounce off the Bollinger, and here is the gap. So we came back up to yesterday's open. Right, and then the gaps above. So supply, sellers came in here. If we got through this, it had a squeeze opportunity all the way up into these levels. But that would be a big mean reversion. So I would stick with shorts for the day now. Where possible, I would be looking for sells. You've got another 8 minutes until this hourly candle closes. How and where this candle closes also matters, right? We're sitting right on value area high from the last 2 sessions. Right here, yesterday's value area high, today's value area high. We're sitting right on top of it, and we're sitting right on top of this old hourly candle. So a breakdown under 72, a breakdown under 82, a continuation trade back to point of control, back towards 2100. A failure of that opens the gate for a move back towards 2060, 20,008, and these are big levels underneath. There are wicks here that can get run. I would say this right here is probably an easy move on liquidity. So 900, 855, 832, 823. Doesn't have to do it today. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at for the next few sessions. If we're going to get continuation lower, the hard thing about thinking about continuation lower today is basically the Bollingers. I'm not convinced they will want to extend these Bollingers. It might need a couple days to settle. What I mean by that is we do not like to extend under these Bollingers and close under the Bollingers. So over the next few sessions, if we stay weak, the Bollinger will start trending like this. 5-day 20 is crossed, and you'll get a move like this, and we'll get stuck like this and trend down. All right, mean reversion trade will be back to here. At some point it would do that, might do it from here to here if these trend down to here. And then we see what's what. Obviously, the big spanner in the works, so to speak, is the election. Typically, we are bullish into an election. Typically, we're very bullish into an election. And we have been, really, until the last couple of days. Talking fast, I know lots to get through. If what I'm saying sounds like garbage, let me know. But if you can't understand it, just do the course. One-time fee, do the course. I promise you it will help you. It's not some shitty little 2-hour course which will teach you a bull flag. This is a seriously in-depth 20-hour on-demand course. Lots and lots to learn in there, and you get the flow zones for free with it, and you also get Discord. So you would have been prepared. If you'd done the course and you're in Discord, you would have been prepared for this bullish move this morning. Even though I was out walking the dog, I had you ready from before the NFP print. You're very quiet today, chat. Everyone all right in chat? Very quiet. It's unlike you. All exhausted from the week, maybe. I think I've got one of the best chats out there in communities. I think you guys are really nice people. I see socials popping off this morning because another streamer, well, 2 streamers, one quit straight away because I think he had another big losing day. and another one snapped because the chat were digging him out and came off stream very quickly. Oh, David, I didn't even think about that. Kids up late trick-or-treating. Nice. Hope they had a good time. Persistence, green, lovely. Matt, oh, jazz concert. Where did you go? I love a bit of jazz. I used to like going to Ronnie Scott's back in the day. Friends with a singer called Vula, or Namvula, but called Vula. She actually sings on a lot of the Basement Jack stuff. Had the guys in Discord automated their flow zone trades? No, not fully automated. I'm working on a system. I've been working on a system for a long time. It is no secret. I have a system. I can use it, but the problem is it fires error messages. And when it fires an error message on Ninja across all your accounts and blows them, you'd be very upset. So I don't want to release it until it's absolutely perfect. Fox Theatre in Tuscan, nice. Shenfield, I haven't been there in a while, Aaron. What's that like for trick-or-treating? The houses where I am are incredible, I have to say. One guy's built a UFO spaceship. It's got to be about 10 foot big, smashing into the side of his house with a UFO hanging out of it, and another UFO picking up all the candy off the floor. I will see if I can post it. I really try to post it in Discord. I'll see if I can post it on Twitter. The videos really don't do it justice, but let me have a go. You can all see it. I will say the Americans do trick-or-treating properly. We are absolutely rubbish in the UK. All right, let me see if these were posted. Yeah, the USA is absolutely crazy. So here's the back test of this level that we broke down from. So I want to see if they get stuck somewhere in here. Don't get short yet, basically. I'd be looking for sales, but I'd be looking for something to show me. Oh, come on, let me draw. Something to show me that they're stuck. Yeah, something like that would be nice. Trade back down. If they just hold this, just be very careful. If shorts did the same thing as they did earlier, trying to sell down here without waiting, they can get squeezed out here. But I'd be looking for sells in and around this area if it gives a nice pattern and a signal. Okay, I just posted where I live. It's a few minutes away from where I live, like as in a walk, but have a look at what this guy's done to his house. It's absolutely incredible. It's on my Twitter. So if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of free content on there, telling you what I think the market might do. Often do a weekly post on Sunday thinking about what I'm looking for the next week. All right, so we're into that golden pocket. Remember, this was trendline liquidity. This is where buyers got trapped. This is probably where sellers have got trapped down here. So we've pivoted up for now. Now we're looking to see if a sell pattern comes in here. one thing I hate about Ninja is when you accidentally move something, you can't press Control Z and put it back. It's really annoying. I wish they'd change that. So just, yeah, one thing I'm aware here is just looking at that M15 chart, how that last candle rebalanced and held. A little tricky. I would say basically, if we start to sell and we flip this, you get a good continuation move down. Apple getting hammered now, 222. Rest of Mag 7 looking good. Yeah, it's insane, 60-hour trend. Honestly, I can't believe. I mean, I've got so many videos of some of the other houses, but there's basically a crescent, and they've all done it. And the kids were absolutely loving it. Now, I don't have any kids, but I was thinking, what a nice neighborhood to go and walk your kids in. I can't imagine how long it took him to build that spaceship. Flow Zone Trader, Matt. Flow Zone Trader. It's the same on everything. Flow Zone Trader. Good commitment as a dad, I would say. I was speaking to one couple, and they started building theirs in January. That's serious commitment. Okay, just be cautious. If this doesn't show a failure pattern, if they catch enough shorts, or if they caught enough shorts here and it doesn't show a failure pattern, it can squeeze back up. If it doesn't, I'd be looking for shorts until it proves otherwise. But if it wants to squeeze back up, like we said, it can trade into this level here. So I should probably just mark this whole level out. This level here, it can trade back into this level. Yeah, it's crazy, Aaron. It's crazy. I would love to have kids in this area. I think they would love it. Yeah, they are. They're playing. They were playing Close Encounters, the soundtrack, I think. And they were playing X-Files when I first got there as well. Good commitment, I would say. You can see the dad, his head next to the alien while he's like pumping out the smoke machine or dry ice. Full on commitment. Oh, I don't know. I thought it was dry ice. What are you getting at? You think you're smoking? I mean, we are in California. He could just be having a giant joint, couldn't he? All right, some sellers coming in. It looks like. Decent volume on that last candle. See if they can follow through. I'm going to see if if they do stuff against that imbalance, I'll think about taking something. No breaker structure yet though. Beautiful. So I don't want to see this soak and run back up in this imbalance. I need them to really flip this underneath 206 would be really nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's my worry. If they soak against that level, this imbalance right here, they need to flip. That is my one concern, I'd say. Like between, if I can zoom in, between here and here. So really you want to see this fail against this. Do your lower high, lower low, get through this and then sell. That'd be the ideal move on a lower time frame. VIX looking to press up now, which is good. There you go, into that old imbalance. So how it reacts here is going to be key. Still favour the short if they can get through this, but I'm just very aware of this level right here. This is where shorts got trapped. This is the stop hunt on them where they got blown out, and this is where we're reacting now. So if we trade back through this, we're back into a convincing sell. Just need to be cautious of the flow zones, of course. If they start to base and hold, where we need to be cautious, if they start to base and hold, like a quasi. Volume so-so here, not convinced yet on that volume. I'd like to see push back up and fail. That's what will make me convinced. It might not give it, but I'd like to see a drive back up towards 30 and a fail. I'm watching the volume here as well. If volume starts spiking through here, then this trade probably I will not take a position in. Don't just slam it. Please drive it up first. VIX at high of day, so watching the VIX as well. 30 to 35 ideally. Little push back up, and then I want to see sellers come in the tape and absolutely slap it. If they don't do that, then we're going to trade more upside. So here is the move up. Are they going to sell this now? This is the big question. Still not in this trade. No pattern yet. Volume's good here, so favouring the buyers here with this volume push. This is a good drive up with volume compared to everything else, but here come the sellers at that key level, so it's very, very tight here. It is a battleground here. We know it's a battleground as to what happens next. Do we get this continuation trade higher now? Have they caught enough sellers down here? Remember, this was the key, and this is the key. If they trade through this, we get that quasi move. If they fail underneath this, we get a full rotation, in my opinion. So I'm waiting to see now. I need to see failure here, trade underneath, and then I can get a short. Otherwise, if they're going to hold deep flow zones and this, they're going to trade back towards here, and we have stops here which they can pop. Very tricky. VIX failing that high of day as well. So it looks like it's going to trade through now, potentially for that cup and handle and quasi. So no short came in there, it's holding. So now I would pretty much expect a high of day move here, unless they trap over this liquidity and then dunk it, which would be really nasty. But really it feels like he wants to trade back upside now. So did we trade to 50% of the IB? Yeah, we did. Okay. So the M15 chart here looking pretty bullish, to be honest. No failure yet. There's the extension back up now. So they caught enough shorts. That means down here. They caught enough shorts down here, which is why it's holding this position. They started covering here, triggering a new move up. So if we get through the IB high, like we said, there's a big block from 86 all the way up to, let's just call it 400. So it's another 100 points in here that it can run to. Remember, this is mean reversion, 5-day, 20-day. So we would have traded that means in the space of 2 days from the top Bollinger to the lower Bollinger back to the 5-day, 20-day, all the way back to there. Gross. That is gross. Very rare you would see something like that in 2 or 3 days. Normally takes weeks to do. So shorts definitely seem a little bit bent here again. And there's not many levels left on the tape. 400 has a 76 lot on, but that's about it. Yes, is it a weekly pivot you're saying, Sloth? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's why particularly it's having trouble. I think we traded back to the gap, and then if we get through that gap, it can just go on an absolute tear. That's the one thing I would say. If we trade into that gap, it's light volume or non-existent volume. Right, ES will be the same as this. There is no volume in here. And the gap starts basically here to here. So the old London Asia. So basically all of this is very light in volume. Once we get through this low, this is an easy move. So they will probably try and defend this low, is what I'm saying. And if they fail at defending it, we can close this gap. Remember, the gap close to Wednesday will be like here. It's quite high. Lots of room left. But technically, It's a short until we get through this on a higher time frame. So short somewhere around here, technically, until we get through that. Once we get through this on an hourly, we're then moving to a bullish move, basically. Pretty bullish in this pattern right here as well. For that breakout, this is basically the old supply that we're talking about, and if it gets through this, it can trade up to here. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. It makes it really clear and easy to see. So gap close. Settlement is basically here. Wednesday's close. So overnight Thursday, New York session Thursday. You would want them to protect this and get short here. If they don't do that, we go to settlement. That's a massive move to do today, but weirder things have happened. Weirder things have happened. So far, we didn't run the high there, interestingly. I would expect us really to go and pop this high now. Yes, nowhere near it. Would kind of expect us to pop this high, but we are protecting the initial balance. We missed that high by a very small amount. So you'd expect some form of manipulation and then a drive through that high, and then we see what happens. Did ES fail 800 again? Yeah, it did. Tagged into 800 and failed. So a bit of selling coming on the tape up at 300 now. Like passive orders, 300 and 400. I cannot wait for my wife to be back so I can start waking up at normal times and trading well. So stuck at that anchored view up and at IB high here. Would like to see some form of sweep of liquidity before any next move. But lower time frame bulls in control on the New York session for now. For now, they're in control. Can change very quick. Again, we are in a high time frame sell, and we're in a pullback on the daily and the hourly so far. Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it, Matt? It is crazy. Volume starting to step in here on the sells. But we're just at structure. They're going to make this very tricky today, it seems. It's good displacement on this candle, good volume coming in, but we're just trading back down to where we found intraday demand. So no shift yet. So basically this is what we've done. We've done this. We sort of expect this to get run, and then we can see what's what. Do we have a failed auction above, or are they going to actually hold and trend up all day today? Maybe if they've got enough shorts caught, right? If they caught enough shorts on NFP down here, and they caught more again here, maybe they want to reprice that whole move. Remember, the market does like to be efficient. It has got a big gap above it that it can go and fill. Bullish moves are holding, surprisingly. All right, I'm going to grab some food. I will be back in just a moment. So I still expect this to go and sweep. It's that close that it might as well go and take it. There is some selling keeps popping up on the tape, so I keep expecting them to get taken out now. Lots of short stops now built in here. You'll probably get a volume push through and a stop run. It's coming. Low vol, low vol, low vol is coming. There's no way they don't run them. No way. There you go. There you go. Get out of the way. There comes the volume. There's the stop run. So our question is, can it base above that initial balance high? How far into yesterday's London session do we now dig? Do we now trade up to the next anchored VWAP? Here's the volume, and we talked about it. Those shorts are fucked. Too many of them in the market today, it seems. So it's actually gonna make shorting really hard. The short will come once they're completely blown out, right? When they're completely blown out, the shorts will come. That might not be today. The other thing that we had to consider, and I said it to the room this morning, if you are holding puts, if you are holding shorts going into this weekend, are you going to hold when we're at the lower Bollinger Band? When you've had let's say you shorted on the Wednesday, fail breakout of the high week. You're up like 900 points or something. Surely you're going to take your risk off into the weekend. Anything can happen at the weekend. Mm. 60-hour trader. It depends where in California. Like, California is quite a blue state. But if you head to, I'd say like Manhattan, Palos Verdes, those areas, then you'll definitely see Trump supporters. But I think you find like most Republicans in California aren't necessarily Trump supporters. They're just conservative. They're fiscally conservative, you know. So they're probably socially aligned until more recently, probably socially aligned more with Democrats and fiscally aligned with conservatives. So what I've always said, I think here will be very similar to England, where eventually you'll get a rebalance. So I think JD Vance has pulled Trump into slightly more center of right than maybe he was 4 or 8 years ago. And I think you're seeing something quite similar with Kamala, where the start of her campaign was like very left, and she started to move more center because they realize actually these extremes aren't good. And the votes that you need to get are people like me, who, you know, are not trying to blow my own trumpet, but actually are not going to vote because we want to be part of a clan. You know, we're actually going to vote on true policies. And so for that, you need to be left of center or right of center, not far right, not far left. So yeah, I think you'll find a lot of Californians who have made their money are probably not necessarily Trump supporters, but maybe are traditional Republicans. There's a lot of people like that. So I think like the appointment of RFK, for example, was probably quite good. Traditionally a Democrat who cares about health. That's a good appointment for Trump, because that's probably not an appointment he would have made previously. For example, just for example. So I can't vote 60 hour. I'm British, so I have no vote here. I'm interested in the politics here, but I have no say in it. I have a green card, but I'm not a citizen. So here's a sell. So sweep of that liquidity, you have SMT versus the ES. ES did not sweep. And you have this imbalance taken out. So this is coming with volume now. So how they act here in and around the initial balance high will become key. Looking at the tape. Still a small seller at 300. He hasn't been filled yet. Maybe they want to drag it up to there. Yeah, so it was very similar. I think the state of politics here was very similar to what we've had in the UK. Very, very similar. We had, and it seems to happen a lot. So I hope I don't offend anyone in the UK. I'm going to be. It doesn't matter how you vote. You're entitled to whatever vote you want. But what traditionally happens is you get conservatives in power for quite a long time, and then they end up getting a little bit sloppy, and things happen like unprecedented events like leaving the EU, and then you get a pushback from traditionally what has been rebels, which would be the left, and then you swing too far left, right? You go from one extreme, you go too far left. And then you realize that actually gifting money out and taxing everyone doesn't actually work. None of these things actually work. And you end up voting someone in. The left win, they vote someone in that they think would do a good job. And then you realize that you're in trouble. Your economy's then in trouble. And then what the right then realizes that they don't need someone far right in. They need someone who's just going to get the job done down the middle. It can happen with the left, but rarely do you get someone down the middle with the left. I think Blair was the most centre left-wing politician we've had. Like, you're seeing it now. Everyone voted Keir Starmer in because they didn't want another Conservative in, but they're already regretting it. He's already gone back on his promises. He's already put tax up. He's going to tax more businesses. It's going to get more expensive for people in the UK. He's going back on his word. Like, it happens time and time again. But what you've got to remember all the time is no politician is going to deliver on their policies. They never, ever deliver on their policies. Never. It's all bullshit. So it's really just voting in, like, what's the safest pair of hands, basically. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, the weapons of mass destruction was an absolute joke. His push for everyone to go to education, Aaron, was completely bonkers, because all that did was put, hundreds of thousands of students, if not millions, in massive debt, with degrees in, like, oh, I've got a degree in David Beckham. I mean, fucking madness. So, yeah, but it's kind of a cycle, right? It's a constant cycle. Really what you want is a nice balance of left and right. I think if you can get a balance of both, then you can actually have a good world, but it's rare that you actually get that. All right, good. S&T starting to show now. That seller is still on the tape at 300. But maybe we have rejected this now, so maybe we get that sell. Like we talked about, this inversion here, repriced it. If they start to sell under here, this is liquidity, and maybe a full move back down. We don't know, but again, that seller at 300 is kind of drawing it higher. Yeah, I mean, Blair could have gone to jail for stuff he did, but this is what made me laugh when Kamala was talking about how good it was to have Dick Cheney backing her. Dick Cheney's a crook. That guy is part of war crimes. Like, he was in bed with Blair, and he's made millions and millions and millions on blood money from loss of lives at war. So it seems weird to me that someone so far left like Kamala would be thrilled that someone as dirty as Dick Cheney is supporting her. Like, that is bonkers to me. But hey, what do I know? They're all as dirty as each other at the end of the day. That's kind of what I'm getting at. You know, I think it was a real. Personally, I think it was a big error on the Democratic Party here, not to have a system to choose who was going to run once they forced Biden out. And they should have had some form of system to choose that rather than just electing themselves. That's not democracy. Personally, that's what I feel. Regardless of who you vote for, I think personally, you know, you should always that should be down to people. Yeah, the thing is, Aaron, I think everyone's got blood on their hands. Look what's going on in Palestine and Israel. Look what's been going on, you know, all over the world. Look what's been going on in Africa for years. They've all got blood on their hands. The truth of it is just whether it hits the news or not. You want to know, like, a really good book, just read, and I'm still making my way through it, The World is for Sale. Then you realise how disgustingly dirty all these politicians are, and the early traders that made money from, you know, deals that were put in place on oil or gold or stuff like this. It's crazy. I like that analogy, Matt. That's good. Yeah, it's right, Muscudi. You're right. Everyone has an agenda. It's just it's a shame that there isn't just something a little bit more down the middle, in my opinion. So tricky action here, but we have swept the highs. Again, that seller is still there at 300 that I've been talking about. I do think we are in a sell market. It's just as and when do they let that happen. Right, so far, buyers have been in control today because shorts have been getting stuck. When shorts are no longer stuck, when buyers become stuck, we will rotate back down. Might not be today. $20 minutes till lunch as well. In the UK, do we have SS numbers? What does that mean, Foster Scott? Oh, HMRC, IRS, HMRC. Yeah, it's the equivalent of. So we have national insurance, and then we have HMRC for all our tax stuff. HMRC. His Majesty's, I don't know what the rest is, Royal Commission or something probably. Yeah, that's it. So swept internal. So remember this low, made this high. This was internal, swept internal. So really trade, this is your range right now. Once it breaks out of that, it can break down or break up or failed and come down. Yeah, this is the range right here. But is that what happened though, Capt? Did they elect? Is that normal, or is that like, that seemed like quite a, I'm happy to be wrong here and put my hands up, that seemed like sort of an unprecedented moment. I know it's unprecedented times. It just seems a bit odd to me that you didn't know he was incapable of running. It was fairly obvious to absolutely anyone with a pair of eyes. Yeah. It'd be said, by the way, this is nothing against the Democratic Party. This would be the same if it was the other way around. We're just talking about, it's the best way of putting it, being fair and equality and doing the things that you're going to say you're going to do, right? It doesn't. We're not talking about the parties or them specifically. We're just talking about effectively law and order. It's very, like, the UK has the same things. So if you don't know, in the last 6 years, we've gone through like 5 or 6 prime ministers, which is really rare. And the reason for that all started with leaving the European Union. So David Cameron was the prime minister for the Conservatives. He was left of centre. He said, okay, let's put it to a vote if you all want to leave the EU, thinking we wouldn't leave the EU. He was a Remainer, and we left the EU. He lost by 1%. So then he was effectively forced out by the press. Put your hat out, like, you're done, you're toast, leave. So he left. So then they were like, well, who wants the job? No one wanted that job. That was a shit job to take, because you've got a 50% split in the population then about whether they want to remain or stay. So 50% is going to be upset, and we're already leaving. So they gave it to Theresa May. She was effectively going to be the scapegoat. Whoever took that job next was going to be a scapegoat. It's the same as like when Sir Alex Ferguson left Man United. The next manager in is going to get shit on. You're never going to replace legacy. So she got shit on. She got abused and shit on for like a year or however long she lasted. Everyone cussed her out because we were leaving, but she was also a Remainer. She was just trying to do a good job because it's the job she was forced to do. Legally, she had to get us out of the EU because we voted on it. So she gets forced out. Then we get Boris Johnson put in. By the way, these are all just voted in by the Conservatives. He's an absolute clown, right? Openly in an interview recently with Stephen Bartlett, basically said he didn't have a clue what he was doing. He then gets forced out during COVID because he got caught having parties during COVID when we were in lockdown. Unbelievable. So he gets forced out. Then they put Liz Truss in. Liz Truss, they had a bet on that she would last less time than a lettuce, right, stays ripe. And they won. She was out within, someone can correct me here, it might be 13 or 14 days. So she lasted no time at all. Then we put in Rishi, who actually did an all right job. Rishi did the best job of the lot of these lot that I'm talking about, but everyone got upset because his family comes from money. Well, that's not his fault. They've earned money. Him and his wife have earned money, so they hammered him for that. Went to a vote. Labour are in. They voted in Keir Starmer, and now everyone's pissed off that he's in because he's not doing anything that he promised. So there's no win. There's no win. Politics is just a mess. It's just a mess. It doesn't matter which side. It's just a mess. It's always a mess. So what I'm talking about is nothing against America or the politics here. It's just tricky, isn't it? It's hard. It's hard, and I think when you've got a nation or nations which are so split, it's so obviously split, so closely fought, and I think we live in a world now where people don't like listening to the other side. The skill of listening has gone. I think it's because of social media. People love to have a voice and they love to talk, but can they listen? Because everyone should be able to listen. If we listened to how the other person felt or thought a bit more, this goes as far as your relationships with your wife or your kids or your friends. If you can listen and empathize with how they feel, we can act accordingly and try and find a middle ground that works for everyone. And I think that seems to have disappeared in society right now, which is why you've got far right and far left screaming at each other all the time, and then the people stuck in the middle being like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be cancelled. that's kind of where we are in society, or at least that's how I feel. That's how I feel. And hey, I'm happy to be wrong, and I'm also happy to listen. Yeah, listening is an art. Like, never devalue the quietest person in the room. You know, they're just obtaining information all the time if they're actually listening. It's easy to be brash and loud, you know. Just because you've got a strong opinion doesn't mean you're correct. And just because someone doesn't show an opinion doesn't mean they don't have one or have feelings. So while we're talking about all this, the market's not really moving, is it? It's swept liquidity for the top. It's at the bottom of this range. Will it break down and hunt lower? But it's pretty whippy. But hey, hope I haven't upset anyone in chat there. Just, I don't side with anyone. I side with humanity. And honestly, I genuinely mean that. I side with humanity. I just think there's no need for most of these issues we have in the world. If we just listen to each other a little bit more, things would get a little bit easier. Do we break down here? It feels like it wants to go, but it's just unwilling to really snap. They keep soaking those 40s. Remember what we talked about? This is the low that created this high. So this is your swing, strong swing low, strong swing high. So technically until we break underneath that, technically it's not a confirmed short setup, but we did sweep liquidity up here and leave buyers trapped. And you're only 11 minutes away from lunch now. So it feels like the sell's coming. Here we come. How do they react at this strong swing low then? Into around 30. Close weaker below it, yeah. So that sell signal coming. I'd really want to see the flow zones get through the deep pullback clouds to really consider a trend short. But if they let go, it might be it. It might have been one last squeeze up through the highs like we talked about, and that might be it. But who knows? We're coming into lunch. Like, they're not making this easy, I'm going to say. It's a little push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. They're not making it easy. So again, this is where bias showed up earlier, which is why it's hard when they're going to do these moves straight down. We need to have some form of short that we can risk against high for a full rotation. Don't want to be shorting here and here and here and here and here. So they're making it hard. Like we talk about, the best shorts, they build flags up, don't they? We build liquidity up to go down. Look at this, straight down. Very hard to get short against this, because you know at some point it's going to build liquidity. But a bit like the move up, if they caught enough buyers at the top and it's a strong hand in here and they just want to mark it out straight down, that's the issue. Feels heavy. It's a big engagement. That last candle, the previous candle, was pretty big volume. We're going to give this whole thing back now. So this was probably the entry up here that we talked about. This right here. That was the signal. Had to be fast on that trigger. We talked about it. Would it come back up towards 80s? And it came to 77. So we did talk about it. VIX knocking on the door of its high of day again. What's everyone doing this weekend? I always love to hear what chat are doing. Any plans? Foster Scott, I side with the pale blue dot speech. Consider again the dot. Oh, that's from that book. What was that author? Carl. Oh, there you go, Carl Sagan. It was right on the tip of my tongue. You beat me to it. Mowing and blowing leaves, 60 hour. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Watch the Grand Prix for sure. Brazil this week. See if Max can get his knickers in a twist and throw a wobbly again. That would be nice. I'd like to go to the gym. I've barely been to the gym this week. Honestly, my back's only just feeling better after jet skiing. And I honestly mean that. The last 24 hours is the first time it's felt normal again. So we are holding above that old high that we put in yesterday at 10 o'clock, all right? So this is slightly concerning. See this level right here? This level here. All right, we are holding above that right now. We've traded through it and we're holding above it. We're basing above it. It just has me a little concerned that if it's going to keep holding that, it's going to feel more and more like it wants to trade way back up here. But really should be looking for continuation. I'd just like to see it break down through that level. So that level at, I need to put it on my other chart, basically 200. All right, psychological, it needs to basically break down through 200. Well, what you can do, Matt, you can do jet ski, just do it one side. You can just do it one way. But like on the way back, it was really choppy for us. It was like 6 foot swell. So like we were trying to do like 40, 50 miles per hour into like major chop going flying. I mean, it's partly my own fault with my mates. We were just having way too much fun. Paying for it as a almost 40-year-old with a bad back already. Probably not the best idea, eh? Are we going to get the wash here? At last reprice up. I would love to just see us wash under 200 and come back down towards VWAP, but just doesn't seem willing to do much here right now, and we are coming into lunch in the next few minutes. Yeah, snowmobiles, I bet they're exactly the same. Can we get one good trade here? Okay, Foster Scott, I'll check that shortly. Just waiting to see if we can break down here or if we're just going to chop around and reprice up into lunch again. Seeing at that area where we caught buyers before, so I just want to see if they fail. If those buyers don't step back in, can we rotate down? But into lunch it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? VIX now through high day. Pretty much thereabouts. If it can get going, might have a shot here on the market if it can get going. Let's have a look, Foster Scott. Give me 1 second. Oh, you're going to give me something here. It's holding those 220s or around about that, so it's not even trading down to that sort of 200 mark we were talking about. All I can see is fast track that CEO messaging non-stop on Discord. It keeps popping up. I think he's upset a lot of people from my understanding. So new hourly candle incoming here. We are trading at a point of control up here, so we flip point of control higher now. Ugly price action for a little while now, I would say. It's probably going to be it for a Friday. Here comes the new hour. Unless it sets up right now, I'm going to call it a day. So hourly levels, you want to watch sort of 28 point of control and 34, the top of that hour, and then the lows into 11. Underneath that, it can reprice lower. But as we're talking about, it's unwilling to go lower right now. Still building out this flag potentially, but it just seems unwilling to move. On that note, team, I'm probably going to call it a day here because we're not giving the move. And maybe if I get off stream, it would do it for you. That's not what normally happens, right? But have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again for joining. Sorry we didn't get too much today. And next week I'll be back to normal, all right? Next week, back to normal. I'll be able to be very, very focused. Same for you guys in Discord, back to normal next week. Until then, peace and love. Be safe. Have a good weekend. Look after yourself. And as always, use hard stops. Peace out.